You know, for years, the whole idea of a self-driving car felt like something straight out of science fiction. Right, well, that future is not some far-off dream anymore. In fact, it's here, and it's happening right now. So let's just get right into it. With AI taking the wheel, our human driver is about to become a thing of the past.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
So right here in the UK, the starting gun has officially gone off. Back in 2024, the government passed the Automated Vehicles Act, which basically laid out all of the rules. And now, fast forward to 2026, and we are starting to see the results of those. We are talking about authorized, actual automated vehicles hitting public roads. This isn't just a test anymore, but the theory is now becoming a reality. And let's be clear, this isn't some quiet little closed off test track. No, we're talking about real commercial driverless services launching in major cities like London this year. Just think about that for a second. You pull out your phone and you order a ride, and a car will just pull up to the curb with nobody behind the wheel.
Should I trust this thing?
I mean, that's a fundamental shift in how we think about cars and taxis and services like that. And of course, it brings us right back to that central question that everybody has been asking for years. And that is, of course, I mean, you know, if AI can handle the chaos, the total chaos of driving in a big city, where does that leave us? What's left for human drivers to do? Because that's always been the big problem with AI. Is this it? Is this the beginning of the end? Okay, but before we even try to answer that, we've got to get on the same page, so to speak. So, because honestly, the conversation around this stuff is a little bit of confusing mess at the moment. A lot of what's out there is pretty confusing thanks to some dodgy marketing. So let's just take a moment to actually define what self-driving really means. All right, so regulators split this into two big camps, and this is quite important to understand. So on one side, you've got ADAS, driver assistance systems. This is the stuff that most of us are already familiar with. If you've got a brand new car, you will have them on the car, you will have used them, and these are the systems that are keeping you safe and helping you park and maneuver, but they're not 100% in charge. You have to be paying attention whilst driving at all time. Then on the other side, there's the true automated driving. Now, this is where the car is doing the whole task, and you're not necessarily even involved in that. And these two are not the same. They overlap in systems and technology, but they're not the same. If you want a perfect example of why this is so confusing, look no further than, for example, this is on Tesla's support page, and it talks about, you know, its self-driving feature, which a lot of people have been misled into thinking that that's a fully autonomous feature. So what does it actually say on the Tesla website? It says that this system requires active driver supervision, and it does not make the vehicle autonomous. So there's the difference. You have the systems that basically are helping you drive and keeping you safe, and then you have the systems that basically can take over the driving, and they are sort of the autonomous systems. I maintain there is no such thing as a fully autonomous level 5, as we call it, car currently available to the public. But there are cars that do various degrees of this level of system, but you must be sitting behind the steering wheel. You must be ready to take control. The taxis, however, they're different. They're different because if you've seen them, they are festooned with sensors and lidars and radars and cameras and a big computer brain that is actually working on those cars to make them do what they're doing. So that's like a next level. That is kind of level 5 autonomy, but even there's a lot of training and development and technology that's going into making that happen.
Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
So now that we're kind of a bit more clear on where we stand with this stuff and what it all actually means, let's dig a little bit more into the actual argument. So first up, the very case for letting AI take the wheel, 88%. Just let that number sink in for a second, because that right there is probably the biggest single argument in favor of letting AI do the driving. So what does that refer to? That's the percentage of all road collisions where human error is a factor. Almost 9 out of every 10 crashes. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of staggering. It's a staggering figure because that gets to the absolute core of the pro AI argument. Because an AI It doesn't get tired after a long day. It doesn't get distracted by a text message on the phone. It doesn't fiddle with the in-car entertainment system. It doesn't decide to have a bit of road rage with somebody else that it thinks has cut it up or whatever. The logic is brutally simple. Take the flawed human out of the equation, and potentially you get rid of most of the car crashes. So you may be going, where is the evidence for this? Well, you have companies like Waymo in America that have the driverless taxis. I know that there have been very high profile incidences of them being involved in incidents and altercations, what have you, but they have demonstrated the fact that they have kind of racked up 127 million miles with no human driver, and their data, they say, shows that they're having fewer injury causing crashes than humans in the same cities proportionately. But look, this isn't just about safety statistics, because it's also for millions of people who can't drive, maybe because they're older or they have a disability. For them, this technology essentially is a lifeline. So we're not just talking about a cool convenience here. We're talking about giving humans the dignity and independence of being able to travel by themselves. We're talking about them being able to get to a doctor's appointment or go for a job that's out of town that they can do on their own. It's about giving them the freedom to not have to rely on somebody else. And that is genuinely life-changing stuff. There's no question of that. And then, of course, there's the money. Well, there's always the money, right? The economic argument. An AI-powered network of cars can smooth out traffic, getting rid of those phantom traffic jams that drive us all crazy. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, if you think about how it can control traffic flow and get rid of time lost, and then you talk about, well, it could make hauling goods way more efficient. Imagine trucks driving themselves overnight when the roads are actually empty. And really, this is probably where we'll see AI hit first and hardest. It'll be in all the boring, repetitive, but economically crucial driving jobs. So the lorries, the HGVs, the delivery drivers, all that sort of stuff.
This is the only comprehensive guide to car journalism and content creation.
The Ulysses Files is a novel, an all-action thriller with great reviews on Amazon.
A collection of 13 short stories written over 20 years featuring cars, sci-fi, and stories about the human condition. Please buy Brown Car Guy's books, available on Amazon.com or Kindle Unlimited.
But of course, it's not that simple, not by a long shot. There are massive hurdles to overcome here, and some really powerful arguments against handing everything over to AI. This is where the picture gets a whole lot more complicated, quite frankly. And by complicated, I mean, think about when you're driving around, it's quite complex, all the different things that you're dealing with. Driving isn't just about, following the actual rules. It's quite messy out there, right? It's about, driving is like a social dance. It's about making eye contact sometimes with a pedestrian or another driver, reading the body language of a cyclist, or figuring out what that vague hand gesture or what it could actually mean. Plus, you've got bad weather that could confuse sensors and cameras and things. You've got faded road markings, so you can't see, but the human can judge where the road is supposed to be. And AI needs clear rules. And so much of human driving is about intuition, about knowing when it's okay to understand the rules and maybe when to bend them. It's also worth mentioning that, ironically, making cars partially automated can actually make us less safe drivers. I'm talking about the ADAS systems, right? Automatic cruise control and stuff. It's called the complacency trap. The car does a great job, maybe 99% of the time. So what do? Well, we stop paying attention. We start looking at our phones, reading a book, daydreaming, all the rest of it. And that creates this incredibly dangerous middle ground where the car, if it suddenly encounters a problem and it can't figure out what to do by itself, and the human hasn't been paying attention and can't take over in time. In fact, the first accident that happened with a driverless taxi, we had a driver in it, an operator if you like, involved actually that same scenario. And then of course when things do go wrong, then oh boy, you've got all the legal and ethical minefields of what to do in that scenario. If an autonomous car crashes, who's to blame? Is it the person that owns it? Is it the company that made it? Is it the person that wrote the software? And since some of these AI systems are basically a black box, then even the people that have made it can't always explain why it made a certain decision should the worst happen. So the blame question then becomes almost impossible to answer. It's a real issue when even experts inside the industry are nervous about a pure AI approach. And I'm not just talking cars here now, I'm talking about AI in general. You have the godfathers of AI saying, whoa, you actually, some of these people are actually resigning and they're going, we've opened Pandora's box and we're not quite sure what we've unleashed here. That is worrying. And of course, then that also applies to cars. And finally, we have to talk about the human cost, right? Because if AI really does replace drivers on a massive scale, we're talking about millions of jobs. Think about truck drivers, taxi drivers, delivery drivers. This is their livelihood. Their livelihood is on the line because of this new technology. And this is where the conversation stops being about, cool tech, innovation, and clever and sci-fi stuff, which I love, but it starts becoming a serious political and economic problem. How do you help all those people when they lose their jobs that they rely on and their families rely on? So we've got these two powerful forces that are sort of pushing against each other. On one side, this incredible promise of a safer, more accessible world, and on the other, this messy, complicated reality full of technical, legal, and economic hurdles. So what happens now? Where does this all leave us? What does the future of driving actually look like now that these cars will be unleashed on our roads? Well, the evidence points to one conclusion. This is not going to be a sudden revolution. It's not like one day we all just hand over our car keys for good. At least I hope not. So no, I think what we're looking at really here is a layered future. A future where humans and AI are both on the road together, but they're doing very different things. Now, the way to think about it is that AI isn't going to kill driving, it's going to split it down the middle. So on the one side, you'll have all of the tasks where driving is a kind of utility, or it's a service background task. Your daily commute, robotic taxis, freight trucks, all of these will probably get automated. But then on the other is where driving will almost become something else. It will become like a cherished human skill. Not a lot of people will still continue to have that skill. A lot of younger generation already are not learning to drive. So it'll be something that you experience for the pleasure of it and for the freedom of it. And that leaves us with a really fascinating kind of ironic final thought. In a world where getting from A to B is almost completely automated, the simple act of actually driving a car yourself skillfully for the love of it might just become even more special, more valuable than ever before. I think. What do you think? Do you think that may be the case? Do you think that there'll still be cars, that they'll still allow us to enjoy these cars? It is a tricky one. That's the scenario one can hope for. That you have a car, for example, that you're going to work or somewhere mundane, you say, take me to this place, it does it. And then when you find yourself leaving the town limits a little bit and there's a nice road, you go, right, okay, hand back control to me so you can actually enjoy the car. It's like Knight Rider. Let me know what you think. I will be looking forward to reading your comments, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.